We are back here at the Overwatch Beat Invitational Season 5, heading into the next round of lower bracket play. It's going to be Phase 2, which was absolutely surprising a day ago. Of course, they're the ones who were able to knock NRG into the lower bracket, taking on the Skyfoxes, a team that has quite a bit to prove. So again, we are in the do or die part of our tournament, lower bracket, heating on up, and excited to see what both of these teams can bring.
Yeah, Skyfoxes, which we've already seen, and now taking on Phase 2, a team that I think is quite unique in the way that they have, adjusted to this meta, I guess. We've seen tons of different looks from them. We've seen different variants of that goats look, and we can finally call it goats again, or at least I can finally call it goats again without confusing
I have no
myself.
shame. I don't.
Yeah.
Goats running goats versus
Yeah,
goats.
So I think, going into that, we've seen Ana, we've seen Zen, we've seen double sniper setups, we've seen double hit scan, whether it be a Soldier 76 with a Widow or a Sombra with a Widow. We've seen so many different things. Sombra with Farmer C. I'm just trying to remember every single thing that we've seen, but a lot of different unique takes being displayed by Phase 2, and perhaps it is the coaching that is getting them to that stage where they're comfortable with a lot of these different looks. But here's the thing, they're in the loser bracket right now. They were able to take down NRG earlier in the tournament, and their only loss right now is to a very, very strong Toronto Esports that they also won Lijiang Tower on, which we're moving into here. So this could very well be a very strong map for Phase 2. And, certainly thinking that they're going to be playing the Ana Goats, which is what they often play on control maps.
Yeah, Phase 2, I mean, in particular, you got to look to Duplicate, who had fantastic tank play. But guys, before we get too much into the weeds and the stuff that really matters, I want to just tell you, shame Boomer and chat for not playing COD Black Ops 4 with me, Jake, Cool Matt, and others. We've been having fun. Boomer hasn't even joined us. What the heck, man? But now we're into it. Duplicate moving forward, a huge bio nade by Moore. Everyone's purple on the other side. Duplicate going in with reckless abandon, but they're not able to get what they want early on, but they got King. It saves the fight. Makes Moore happy that his bio nade didn't go to waste, and now Phase 2 just gonna rotate right back over to the point.
We'll see them get control here, and it's going to be now onto Skyfoxes to find some way in, and running into choke points like this is going to be very difficult. They have to set up on a Duplicate with Snow on the Zenyatta, but it's going to be so tough with him playing these corners so effectively.
Duplicate getting close to an Earth Shatter. Get a little bit before moving. Experts are able to get Wub, so suddenly Phase 2. They have to back up. They're going to have to invest some dinero here. You have Sinker with the grab up, drops the grab, nano boost Duplicate, swings the hammer, and another nice bio nade. No healing to deal with what Duplicate has there. Doesn't matter that you're passing it to the Iris. No one can receive what you're putting down. Moore has been playing out of his mind here so far.
Oh, the pin to come back into it. Duplicate might be catching himself in a bad spot, but somehow, some way, they pull him out of that. He's able to find a way back over to the point, and he's looking for that Earth Shatter. Moopy with one of his own as well.
Both Reinhardts in the classic Reinhardt dance, but ooh, off the stun. Oh, Duplicate way bigger, gets everyone, moves on in again. Oh man, if this is coaching Michael is putting down, I can buy it. Phase 2, 54% to
The
0.
synergy. It's the synergy. Duplicate, Sinker, and Wub are nuts. Duplicate was able to stay alive because Sinker set up that nice shield when King came in from the Bastion. He was able to keep his shield up, prevent the Earth Shatter, and then instantly the setup from Wub. I mean, that was nuts to see that level of cohesiveness.
They're playing these goats as situations quite well. Duplicate whiffs the charge, gets a nano boost. Everything's A-okay. Self-destruct to the back. Doesn't get what they're looking for, but Moopy can't get away from this burly blue Reinhardt that just takes down Moopy. Wub going for the Brigitte B from Brigitte. Self-destruct on the other end does find Insomniac. Here comes Skyfoxes fighting the way back, but even after they use the barrier, they weren't really comfortable with diving on in. Most of the barrier is wasted, and you look towards Sinker, Graviton, ready to go, ready to throw it on in. He wants to combine with more. Yeah, there's a Transcendence, but it doesn't matter if you're bionated. Duplicate, though, is down. And with the Reinhardt down, he might just save this, likely will.
This has so far been some of the best Ryan-centric play that we've seen so far, certainly in this tournament, but I would even go beyond that. The resources that Duplicate is getting and what he's been able to do with those resources is almost unmatched outside of Owl. I mean, this is insane to see the level of synergy that these three, Wub, Sinker, and Duplicate have together. Obviously, Kevin coming into play as well. This guy came in from Canada tryouts, if I'm not mistaken, is able to play at this level, just be consistent as well.
Grav gonna connect first from Rutzi here. Duplicate down, Sinker. No chance to really use one of his own, but this is totally fine here, Hirix. When you're in this sort of situation, you can save resources. You only need one fight.
I'm thinking right now that Phase 2 just want to hold on to everything that they possibly can. Make sure that they can find some way to throw out Transcendence from Snow. If they can force that out early, they'll be in a good spot to drop a Graph and just knock everything over. Play for control, Biotic from more. Everything should be there.
And the goal here for Sinker is don't feed Zombs. Drops the Grab, and he fed Zombs! Why do you feed Zombs? Or no, he didn't do any Grab. I'm just losing my mind. There's no Grab whatsoever. 3 pickoffs here. Sinker didn't have to use it. And this is going pretty well for Phase 2. You still have the Grab in reserve. Retzi gonna fall. And Phase 2 now able to move on over. And they're just gonna casually move to the point. And ooh, Sinker got picked off. Oh, with a very nice pickoff. Ends the threat of the Grab here. Opening the door perhaps to Skyfoxes able to get back in. Self-destruct though. Moves in, makes room. 2 down for the Foxes again. We'll see if they can rotate around. King off the flank, looking for Ana, can't complete. Needs to get to the point, can't do it in time. And Phase 2 never has to use the Grab.
I mean, yeah, never in a position to get it off, but that's the thing. Duplicate really set themselves up nicely in that situation where he was nano boosted, turned the shield, was able to get a very, very spicy Earth Shatter off the turnaround as well. And really good plays. I mean, this isn't the exact one we were talking about, but that's the thing about Duplicate. He just gets them time and time again, every single time, just actually kind of outplaying his opponents in a lot of cases that we've seen so far. This guy is insane with the resources that he's given.
It's been very impressive coming in here for Phase 2, but we're not going to be having a tanky setup versus tanky setup here. Instead, we're going to be getting that little bit of variety that we saw back in the last Skyfoxes match. It's going to be Somber Doom.
So I'm looking at this. We see goats coming out, but this is actually the real goats. This is Moira involved, and it's going to be that hack fist coming through for Skyfoxes. This is a great comp for them to meet this with.
There again, just biding his time, already 50% energy, looking to build the Grab. Phase 2 not doing anything crazy. It's on the offense here, the disrupt again. Okay, that's some disruption. Get the Hammond in with the pile driver, but you don't get the follow through. Felty ends up falling. There's a lot of disruption, but not a lot of damage. King ends up falling, and Sinker already at 60%. Quick minefield in from Boopy, but probably not going to be enough.
This kind of a long fight should help out Phase 2 in the long run, but they have to find these kills, and they are going to de-mech Zombs. That's big, but still, the threat of King is ever looming.
The threat of the Monarch coming on over. Sinker down. Moves on in. Ryan not going to get hit by the Meteor Strike, but it doesn't really matter. Just too much pressure in from the Skyfoxes, and they end up with first control.
Yang doing a lot to set that up. He's down and out right now, but the rest of the team is able to finally earn control of this point. Coming back into it, we will see a swap from Phase 2. They've got now Wub in the skies alongside Moore on that Pharmacy, and we're going to see Sinker, of course, onto that Sombra. They're playing for control themselves, but they're going to take it to the skies and maybe try to stretch these fights out a little bit, allow Wub an opportunity to get some directs in.
Skyfoxes wanting to slow this down a little bit. Snow, plenty of room to work with. Of course, we do have the Pharah swap as mentioned. Wub flaring in the rockets, using on Zombs, but all that poke can be for naught. Zombs he'll back up on Transcendence, dive in. King looking for an opportunity. Phase 2 though, again, just gonna back out a bit here. Problem is, they do need to get into the point, and they're just getting out-poked and outplayed by the Skyfoxes.
Really doing a good job of maintaining the composure in some of these battles as well, where, you know, Wub really wants to just try to, again, stretch this fight out as long as possible, get some directs in there, but what they're doing is not just stretching it out for time, but also stretching it out in terms of playing field, which is allowing a lot of space for Snow to just shoot down a lane onto the bridge and get a lot of value out of this Zen pickup.
Zombs with the self-destruct, finds 2, Moopy adding on in. The Skyfoxes just full control here relative to before, and it just seems to me it's the power of Somber Doom when well executed.
Absolutely. On top of that, it's Moopy staying away from the matchup where, you know, he's going up head-to-head against Duplicate, and he's saying, no, I don't want that. I'm just going to go ahead and poke and prod at your backline as often as I can instead.
And again, finds Sinker off the Doom Fist, goes to the sky, drops on down, and really, if nothing else, just focus it or forcing people to head on back. But the problem here is that you are phase 2. You can't head back now. You need to get back into the point. Your time to play run is over, and barrage met by Transcendent. Just to make life worse for World. If you pick up back here against Skyfoxes, as they force the round.
However, going into a round 3, we're talking about control center. We're talking about getting into more of that team play oriented style of the GOATS compositions. Maybe seeing things like Summer, maybe seeing things like May, maybe even seeing things like Doomfist. And I think if you are going to be obviously the side of phase 2, I think you play that style. I think you play into the GOATS, maybe play it with the Ana instead. And that, oh wow, it actually is going to be the Ana. But I'm actually concerned here, though, for Skyfoxes. How do they want to play into this? Do they want to play for isolation, which is what they're doing right now, by playing the May from King? And he is a difference maker. He is an impact player. He can come through in the clutch. We've seen it on the Doomfist. But if he can have that same impact for his team, the Skyfoxes, on the May, and isolate some of these targets and shut down some of that synergy that we saw from phase 2, they might have a good shot at taking this one, but it really has to be off the back of King.
Well, it's a one-shot setup here for King. You either land a good ice wall and win the fight, or you don't and you lose the fight. That ice wall was not good, but the bio nade to set things up was pretty decent. Snow able to make some lemonade out of lemons there. Normally a wall like that would not have resulted in a fight, but with bio nade and that many people, you're still actually okay. Might not won here yet, but it's something that Skyfoxes has the edge on. It's them by them.
On top of that, you force them out, so now that they have to come through a choke, you're going to have even further opportunities for that isolation to occur. King already at 6%. That Blizzard will shut things down. You're just going to want to slow this down as much as possible now that they have control. So May is just such a strong pick in this particular situation.
Back the other way, Nana Boost in the duplicate. Moore's already built it on up. Duplicate had a heavy charge right into the back. King down, no more threat of walls. 6 on 5 here for phase 2. And they are just muscling over. They got Bionade the other way, but not going to amount to too much. Moore's last name, not getting much at all. But again, you look at the numerical setup here. Oh, Earth Shatter coming on in from Duplicate. Box 2 results in Mookie falling, and this should be phase 2's fight.
Duplicate is so good at clearing these points, but this is going to be the Blizzard clearing it itself as King gets thrust off, but maybe the damage is done.
People saying Cassie came back into the room. Look, Micro's been here the entire time. I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, I might have got abducted. You guys don't know. You have a cat coming in here. Comes Skyfox early on the fight. One good round, though, deserves another. Duplicate, though, falls. Will try to follow up. It is back and forth. Both teams trying out. And the most important thing to note here is that even while in the driver's seat, your phase 2 has not been able to retake the point.
A lot of reset potential, too, with the May as well. So even as they try to press onto King, he's going to be able to quickly just ice block it and save himself. And now with the wall available with that sleep as well, everybody has to go around the side, but the charge is already there for Moopy.
This is so back and forth right now. It does favor Skyfoxes that are in control, but now it's just a little bit too much to prepare. But what a delay. What a way to stay in the fight even after giving up some early pickoffs. They end up delaying it all the way up to 88%.
Wub coming back in, has the rally, needs to give him that HP so that they have, or rather the armor, so that they have the ability to sustain through some of this that's going to come out, which of course is going to be the Blizzard. Retzi doesn't have the setup, but there's the wall, and that might be all the setup they need. Oh, yeah, that was Eden.
Was that? It was Eden. Yeah, it was Eden. There is no cold here this time. Diva's bringing the heat wave. King ends up falling unceremoniously. Phase 2. They lost their line, though, so it's a little bit more deadly. Kevin really has to be more of a vanguard here. Under assault by a nano-boosted Zombs. Still alive. Able to give him the old runaround. More in the back line with the heals. Grab in from Sinker. Follow through there. Phase 2. Still going to hold on.
And Kevin hanging in the back has just done so much to heal for his teammates. And yeah, exactly. I'm really liking what we're getting out of Moore as well. Phase 2, I mean, when you look at this roster on paper and you see what some of the other rosters are bringing to the table, some of those big names, you may not expect as much as what we've gotten out of them. This is such a solid team that has come together and shown us not just the fact that they are good players individually, but it's the consistency with the synergy that we're seeing.
Nano boost in from Duplicate, answered by a grab from Retzi. Everyone grouped together. Bionade coming in from Snow. No more healing there. Wub out early. Pressure coming back from Skyfoxes the other way. D-Mech in, rolling right back on over. And phase 2 gonna be down to final phase 1 after this. They get one more attempt to turn, but they don't have much time to get back in.
So now as we see this re-enter, I mean, we're looking at Duplicate having an opportunity to really set the tone with a nice Earth Shatter. He's going for it. Oh, he still finds him somehow.
Knocks down 3, and what a Bionade coming in from 4! Everyone purple at the very end! And you look at the quick retreat coming in, but now Moopy gets the nano boost, heads back the other way, but another Bionade ruining his day, not getting much in the way of healing for obvious reasons. This Duplicate, a nano boost of his own, swinging, making room. We're in overtime, and phase 2 doesn't care. Both teams still alive. Moopy drops the hammer, not gonna get much. Duplicate, hammer up for himself, waiting, drops it, knocks down 2. Zombs going for that long ride, self-destruct up though. Duplicate has to turn, drops the shield, Reinhardt the Reinhardt, and Moopy can't stand anymore. The last Bionade doesn't end. Phase 2 gonna retake.
And another sleep dart at the end there from Moore. This guy is on fire with the Ana so far in this matchup, and maybe it's due to him that phase 2 has a really good shot at closing this out in this next fight. They don't have any ultimates to really push the envelope, but Skyfoxes are going to be looking to go aggressive on this one as they have roughly 10 seconds to get onto the point and start winning in that engagement, or they're going to be down and out.
Gotta look to Snow and Moopy here. He's holding on to the nano boost, waiting. Doesn't want to boost the wrong person. A lot of people in the way of Moopy. The scary aspect of Ana here. Don't nano boost the wrong person. Bionade, Eden went for it. Eden by Kevin. Nano boost already applied, but King down early on. A 6-on-5 edge here for phase 2 as they look to go up a map here versus Skyfoxes. Moopy drops the hammer and knocks down 2. Wub though, right there at the support, able to pressure back. Kevin D-Mech, armor pack back to Ryan. Heavy pressure Duplicate, but he's healed back up with the nano boost. Going back the other way. Wub and Duplicate moving forward. Phase 2 gonna take Lijiang Tower.
Wow, Moore absolutely on my radar right now if he wasn't already, obviously, and really stepping things up on the Ana. We saw a lot of resources being given to Duplicate and allowed him to be very flashy in this matchup. We see, you know, tons of these replays could have been given to him, and this is one at the very end. This is actually the one I was talking about initially, where that setup with the Zarya was exactly what allowed them to get into that position where he could find the value of that Earth Shatter in that situation. That really, as you say, took the wind right out of their sails, and great job from Duplicate. But without the support of his teammates, of course, the Zarya being played there, as well as the Ana, those are the kinds of things that we look for to allow for Duplicate to have this ability to play this way.
Absolutely. And I gotta say, just in general, this is such a good meta to love Ana, where many of these fights are just dictated by how big of a Bionade did you get? How did you really work around it? What did you use it for? And when you see an Ana get a big nade, like we've been seeing from players like Moore, players like Snow, it's just been excellent. Or Dino, of course, on the other end of the bracket. So players have really been using Ana Max potential here, and it's cool to see because typically in Overwatch, supports sometimes have a trouble standing out if they're not really just getting a whole ton of eliminations, Jonax style. So when you go to a meta where supports have a lot of cool plays they could do to let themselves stand out, it's just good, especially when you're considering the entire concept of Path to Pro, right? Where it's how you stand out. But we do know what our next map is going to be. The Skyfoxes, as they fight for very survival, want to bring things back to Hollywood.
Yeah, and this is a good map for them. And going off of what you were talking about, yeah, I mean, a lot of times sports, they're really kind of reliant on the rest of their team to really shine through. I mean, you look back at the Mercy meta, and for a good Mercy player, you really need your team there to support you in order for you to have some kind of profound effect. I mean, when you go for these clutch reses, you need to have the support of your Zarya or your Winston to provide those barriers, those bubbles, things of that nature. Your Reinhardt, it's not just your tanks as well, have to be enabled by your support. So in a lot of cases, it's really just relying on everybody else around you to make you look good. Ana, in the meantime, is one of those supports that can do a lot of things herself. She can be self-sufficient. She can be self-reliant in a lot of these cases, peeling for herself, causing a lot of clutch plays, causing a lot of chaos for enemy teams with the biotic grenade as well. So a lot of good plays can be made. I definitely agree. It's really cool to see Ana in this meta because it's one of those opportunities for us to really look at the mechanics of a lot of these players that we've been forced into seeing them on maybe just one thing historically.
Well, also, I mean, it's a nice evolution at the very least, where again, I know there's a lot of memeing, and perhaps rightfully so, about the 3-3 setup, but the reality is, and you talk with pro players, they have this opinion as well, is that Moira is not a good character to stand out on. You know, Moira is kind of like, how many times in watching an Overwatch broadcast, ask yourself, like, truthfully, as a viewer right now, how many times have you looked at a broadcast and said, oh, wow, that Moira is playing out of their minds? It's just not a hero that, the way it's played, generally makes for those crazy moments in the way that a hero like Ana does. So the fact that the meta has kind of shifted over to that Ana focus, it's very good, I think, not only for the viewership side, but also, I mean, the players certainly enjoyed the period to shine. But as we're getting into it here, it's going to be phase 2 on the defense first, and uh-oh, we got shenanigans afoot.
Is this a thing, though? I don't know if this is a thing. Is he actually going to go for this? I think it is going to be a thing. You're right. I mean, Duplicate is here with Wub, so it's 2-man set, as Duplicate's likely to just line things up. Actually, it's more than that. I didn't even just pan my camera around. Insomniac's here as well as Sinker, so they're going to go for a quick rotation off of the charge as well, should they need the charge to reset their position. But it's a dive setup from Skyfoxes. They're going for that E-pin.
High risk, high reward. Reinhardt off the top rope. Hammer to the back of the head. Felty gone. And phase 2, just the 900 IQ plays. Coach Michael does it again.
Somehow they set it up, and again, check your corners. You never know what's going to come out, especially with Reinhardt's like this. Duplicate feels very, very solid and very comfortable with what is going, everything that has been going his way. And now we're going to see them pulling back, playing this a little bit more defensively here, as we do see Skyfoxes switching off their composition and going over to that Ana Goat style.
Well, goats be goats, but one side way ahead in ults. This definitely favors phase 2. See them moving on in though. Nice Bionade on Duplicate. Has to back up aggression-wise. This is something that you see Skyfox taking well advantage of, but Tom's gonna get demeched. The defense able to reestablish. They can rally here, and they might not even have to. The last part of the fight went so well for them. It was on a razor's edge, but it doesn't matter. They take the fight, and now look at their ult edge. The benefit of that early gambit.
Really coming away with a lot there as well. I mean, now they can just continue to play very defensively, very reactively, and they have options available as well. This is exactly the same thing that we saw on Hollywood, you know, just a moment ago, where they're going to just play to regress very quickly, have that rapid rotation backwards, and play into their stuns and CCs as much as they possibly can in order to try to enable Duplicate to go forward and deal with Moopy.
Heavy pressure coming on in. Earthshot from Moopy. Not quite gonna get what he wants. Wub going in, challenging the Zarya for Zarya, and Zarya can do nothing but get mace to the face as phase 2 deal with the ult investment of the attack. They hold strong, and don't forget here, Heroix, elimination is at stake for the Skyfoxes. There's only 2 minutes remain.
Such a solid team, and to see them go out at this stage would be so rough. I mean, phase 2 obviously just looking so solid at the moment. Phase 2 pulling back now as well. I mean, still just sitting so pretty. Look at this. They have armor. They've got both support ults coming from Moore and Insomniac. Obviously, the the in-game leadership that Insomniac brings is a lot for them.
Oh, nice! Earth Shatter from Duplicate knocks down 3. Bionade there right after. Phase 2 just slams the door on the Skyfox's face. A minute 30 left.
Going forward and being aggressive once again, and I mean, I can remember. Go ahead.
No, it just the Duplicate had the teabag his own diva. A little bit internal strife there.
Tactical crouch.
Exactly.
Tactical crouch. So, I can remember a time, going back where we saw a lot of this happening, where it was kind of playing off of this hit scan. I mean, it reminds me a lot of Selfless, and I bring that team up a lot because it was a pivotal time for me as a caster, and this is kind of the same play style where they're just trying to kind of pull back and then play very aggressively once they are able to react.
Retzi needs to get a good grab here. Sinker, though! The Deadeye! You can't have that happen! I understand the stun went on Moopy from the Brigida that enabled that. It was great play from Wub, but no, Deadeye can't do that. Final 30 seconds, Retzi must land a good grab here.
Also needs to protect his Reinhardt here as well. Moopy just cannot win these battles without some help, and it's going to be so tough. I mean, there's so many ways for them to get the stun, so there's a lot to protect from, but it's down to Retzi to make this happen.
Barrier into the Skyfoxes. Pressure moving in. Grab out from Retzi. Wub under pressure. Down, but Loopy falls early. Self-destruct from Zomzo puts her over the top. You've dealt with the front line of Rhyme. Retzi supercharged up. McCree goes, I can't actually deal with this. Retzi going to be putting in damage here towards the end. Insomniac going for a ride. Skyfoxes, it looks like they will get point A, but man, did it take them every last bit of time.
Yeah, no Doomfist, so no ability to just kind of easily recontest with the dive. So they're just going to go ahead and play into the second phase of the map instead as they make swaps, and they're actually going to go for the Zen Goats themselves. And remember, phase 2 does have a lot of different looks. Zen Goats is obviously one of them. We've seen Anna, but I think Moore is just really solid with these at his role on the flex support, where he can play Anna, he can play Zen, he can play tons of different things in this role, and it really has an impact for them as a team.
I mean, the one downside, of course, they won't have to thread the Bionade here, but they will have way better focus fire, which is going to make Moopy's life quite difficult. He has the Discord Orb bottom. They're going on in. They sense blood in the water. King's already down. Moopy nowhere to go. And Moopy just going to get pummeled, and that's the isolation that phase 2 is looking for here when you run the Zen in this composition. And more already with the Transcendence. One fight, Transcendence already up.
Yeah, I mean, the positioning that he had in that last fight really enabled his ability to just pump out consistent damage, not just ripping down targets, but allowed him to just benefit from that himself by getting up that Transcendence. And that's going to be big as Retzi is ever closer to that Graviton Surge once again. And Sinker is trying to catch up, but, you know, having these two battle it out, it's just going to come down to big mind games here between the two.
Oh, Shield Bash Shatter. Goodbye, good night. King being the best man to Moopy there, and real difficult to deal with that combination. However, the defense will be able to return the favor in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you're wondering why Goats has gravitated towards playing into more Zenyatta as opposed to Anna or Moira, clip that last fight, go ahead and break that down yourself, because that's exactly it. That instant damage pressure that comes from setting up behind the Brigitte. And here's Retzi, speaking of setup, Graviton at the ready decides, you know what, I'm going to look for another opportunity.
Earth Shatter connects. Exactly what you're looking for, but the grab does mitigate. You can't dive on in if you're stuck in the gravity vortex. It's just the way physics work. Insomniac's blown up, but a counter grab in. Wub swinging the hammer in. Of course, they don't have a Bionade to go with this, so it's not quite as devastating. So phase 2, haven't quite won this year yet. The offense able to turn back the other way, and now we have a bit of a stalemate here in the payload.
And with this stalemate, definitely looking at Duplicate to make a big play. Again, those resources that he needs to have to make this happen. He's at 85% now, ahead of Moopy just ever so slightly. I mean, we're talking about one Fire Strike hit of difference, or one swing of the hammer of difference at this stage. And phase 2 going to try to play off that if they can, as things are kind of evening up a little bit between the two Reinhardts.
We might be hanging the Shield Bash Shatter time here. King, though, under pressure from the Reinhardt, has to back on over. Self-destruct doesn't get too much. Earth Shatter, though, from Duplicate first. No time for a combo, time to move on in. 3 down right away. And Zoms just trying to buy a little bit of time, but Skyfox is likely now about to get stopped on point B. And of course, that means that the threat to their defense now is that they're going to have to be impeccable as we swap sides.
And Duplicate still just having such a great time of it as well on the Reinhardt, setting things up nicely. He pulled the Brigitte out of position so that when he did get the stun, you know, they weren't able to lock him down in the Earth Shatter as well. So he was just completely isolated with the Brigitte. That worked out in his favor as he came back around and laid everybody to the floor. Huge plays by Duplicate. Even just that time, it wasn't just the setup from the rest of his team. It was just a smart play from him positionally to go ahead and utilize that dumpster to get behind it and have some protection from an Earth Shatter that comes down so he can return with one of his own. And that's what got them the win. Now looking towards their attack, though, looks like they're going to try to play into this same style of protect the McCree, still go for this, this one DPS, enable with Brigitte as much as possible so that they can deal with what they expect to come, which is King on the Doomfist, Retzi on the Sombra. Very smart for them to be able to see this coming from a mile away.
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that would kind of go into and say that some would argue that the meta is almost rock, paper, scissors-esque, right? Where McCree setups like the one that we're seeing from phase 2 are better against Sombra Doom, and thus you have the advantage, whereas straight goats will, with the standard 3-3 setup, will really hurt McCree's setup. So you kind of have this back and forth, but phase 2, they've had plenty of game tape to look at today from the Skyfoxes. They had a good idea that Sombra Doom would be coming out. So if Sombra Doom is supposed to be paper right now, then what we're seeing from phase 2 very well could be the scissors, and it's time to cut.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, would love to see that be a Genji analogy instead, but you know, it is what it is. But now as we move in, Sinker checking his corners as good players do, and they're going to go ahead and set things up. Look for King and Retzi on the flanks though. Where are they going to come in at?
Well, we'll have to see. Ooh, Sinker is looking for the Sombra. The translocate just out in the nick of time. Already going to be a quick stun, but King ends up falling here. So phase 2 working with advantage. Bionade does go right to the back from Felty, but the fall through, not there. The healing turned back on. Zom's gonna get demeched, and phase 2 just gonna be able to roll over to the point. Solid control off an early pickoff, and now already one tick is theirs. Defense could roll back in, but no, Moopy couldn't get over the top. He's out of there.
Now we're gonna see King. Oh, he dives in and gets completely clotheslined by Moore on the Zenyatta. They take the point here. And going forward, we're seeing a lot of ults coming online. They are able to deal with that very quickly. That Skyfox's composition that, you know, looking back on their matchup that we saw before, this is a composition that they really kind of hang on to. If they can't make this work, then this is looking very dire for Skyfoxes.
Oh, the Skyfox is about to get shot right out of the sky is the way things are setting up right here. You take a look at Retzi. He needs to land a good EMP here. Is going to go right. Oh, stunned! No! Oh, that was the worst case scenario. It drained the EMP and it didn't go off. Retzi just got owned. That's what we just saw there.
So Sinker utilizes his Deadeye here, just forces them back and out of position. They create an isolation onto Snow. That's a big pickup for them. That's going to force a full regroup now for Skyfoxes as King is looking to wrap around the side and maybe find a way into the back line where he can dive in along with the rest of his team, especially Moopy with that pile driver. That needs to be synced up perfectly here if they're going to get any value out of these two.
Phase 2 working with so much momentum. Not many threats to worry about. They open up the Transcendence. Dive is coming in here from the defense king. Meteor Strike, gonna dive on down. Doesn't get anything. The barrier keeps everyone nice and healthy. Now he has to back up a bit. But Sinker got isolated by the Hammond. You don't have the McCree to protect you anymore. King diving on in, fighting more though, fighting back. King ends up falling. Can't get the pick off on the Zed. Earth Shatter from Duplicate. Here comes the pain. Phase 2 just easily rolling through here. The defense running out of options to delay. Felty going, my entire team is gone. I guess I have to touch a point. Can't even do that. Phase 2 eliminating the Skyfoxes here on Hollywood, and they will move on. Coach Michael still in the tournament.
I want to also, speaking of, you know, infrastructure and leadership and everything that, you know, he might bring to the table for them behind the scenes, Insomniac is a guy I definitely want to give a little golf clap to, especially because you can tell the difference that he makes for this team, the experience he brings to the table and what he can provide in terms of setting up rotations, dealing with problems that other teams cannot, like Doomfist, like Sombra. Both of those things are big pain points for a lot of other teams dealing with that. And it seems as though phase 2 is unfazed in the face of those threats.
Yeah, phase 2, I mean, more than anything else is that you have this entire nebulous idea of like, does it look like a team is playing like a team? And you look at the coordination between their supports and tanks right now, and the answer is yes. Most of phase 2 here was mentioned in a positive way one way or another. It wasn't just, oh, only this person is doing well. And look, I mean, to a degree, you certainly have to put coaching, you have to put it to the players working well with each other. But we have some replays here from what we saw, and this man right here, Sinker, good graviton after good graviton all throughout the game.
Yeah, and again, that sync between Sinker, we're talking Wub and we're talking Delicate. Obviously, yes, Kevin does play into that to some degree, but he's mostly focused on appealing in a lot of these fights, and a lot of the setup comes through the synergy and the cohesion that is developed between the aforementioned 3 players who are really connecting in a big way. And unlike a lot of the teams that we're seeing in this tournament so far, phase 2 is a step above a lot of the competition because of that.
and it's curious to see here because, of course, they are making the lower bracket run. The next match, I don't know if it's the next one on our schedule or not, but certainly later today, at the minimum, we will be seeing Phase 2 take on Goats. And, both teams would love to be that lower bracket story going forward. And I guess I have definitely been entertained by both, but Phase 2 very well could have something special here.
Yeah, and I do believe that second win versus Goats is actually our next one, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I think that is what we're going to be getting. Yeah, second win versus Goats.
You're right. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is a little bit further ahead. So,
we got time to get there.
Or leaks. I'm just leaking. Michael has already told me all the goodness. He actually can see the future. Look, I don't have to tell you just what happens. But guys, what I will tell you is coming up next is a break. We'll be back in just a little bit. Still a lot of Overwatch left to go here today.